Welcome to The Artist Matters. I'm Alex Rudy, and each week you will meet incredible artists from all walks of life. Filmmakers, writers, actors, painters, musicians, and so many more, sharing their stories to motivate and inspire the creative in you. Whether you're doing it for fun or looking to make a living, this show will help you on your journey to bring out the artist within and letting the world know that your art matters. Hello everyone, and welcome to The Artist Matters. I'm your host, Alex Rudy, and happy President's Day. Many of you have the day off, so enjoy. Catch up on stuff, relax, go out, have a good time. I have to go to my day job, but that's the way they roll. At least they get my birthday as a holiday. I think that makes up for it. But we did have a holiday this past weekend also. Valentine's Day. Hope you enjoyed and maybe had a Valentine to share it with. My wife and I didn't celebrate on Valentine's Day. We went the next day to Busch Gardens. Had a good time. Got on lots of rides. There's a lot of people there. Don't know why. But we still did a lot at the park. And afterwards, we planned to go to the Hard Rock Casino and eat at the Fresh Harvest Buffet. Unfortunately, there was a long wait time. A longer wait time than most of the rides at Busch. And we were waiting, and nobody was moving, and you know what? We just said the heck with it and left, because there's no point in waiting that long. It really sucked because I was really looking forward to eating there and having all the variety of foods, but it just wasn't worth it, and I really hate to leave our pets home for a long period of time if we don't have to. So we hightailed it. Maybe people's Valentine's celebrations were spilling over into Saturday. I know there's the Tampa Bay Fair going on also at the fairgrounds, so that might have had something to do with it. Try not to let it ruin the night. It was hard. It is really hard. You know, you're looking forward to doing something so much, and you want to do it, and it just kind of gets a kibosh on your day, but I didn't let it ruin the day. Neither did my wife. We just got home safely and ate elsewhere. Still an enjoyable time. But enough about us. Let's get into today's episode. And this is show number 51. We're getting close to a year. And today's guest is a model, solo traveler, nomad, yogi, thoughtful thinker, confidence and empowerment guide. It's a lot of titles. And they all belong to Robin Finney. She is the other artist that reached out to me when the other podcaster posted in the Facebook group he was looking for guests, and they saw what my show was about, and she was the other one who responded, and I really dug her story. She was always into fashion and maybe a little bit of modeling, even tried out for America's Next Top Model once upon a time, but never made it to the show. And she worked a corporate job for 11 years, and then it just wasn't a good fit for her, and she said adios and decided to go traveling to 11 countries across 4 continents in the span of 8 months. And that was in 2018. During that time, she was inspired of her love of fashion, of photography, and modeling to do photo shoots. She would go to these countries and look for local talent. She would find photographers, stylists, and artisans, all kinds of people to help her get a flavor of where she was in such countries as Mexico, Morocco, Tunisia, Argentina, and New Zealand, to name a few. And it was during these photo shoots that she said, this is more than a hobby. And she's made it a mission to go to as many countries as possible to get photo shoots done. but it's also led her to a journey on helping others arrange vacations to destinations and having their own photo shoots. And it's led her to do some public speaking and now coaching. It's just building up, and you can find all this at her website, which is www.wanderingaunt.com. That's AUNT. She'll tell you who she's the aunt to later. So let's get right into it and sit back, enjoy my chat with Robin Finney. And let's welcome to the show, Robin. Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for connecting.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah. Very interesting story, as you're about to hear. I think you'll get a lot of it out of it, audience. So let's begin at the beginning with Robin. Now, did you have a creative side when you were a wee little young girl?
Oh, yes. I remember playing outside in the mud, taking all of my mom's baking pans and pots and everything out there, and I would make little mud cakes and use that creative expression. And then I'd take my Barbies and I would make clothes for them. I wouldn't actually play Barbies, but I would dress them up, design clothes for them, fix their hair. So I had a lot of different creative outlets like that.
So there was a little fashion going on even back then.
Yes.
So what was it about fashion and modeling that drew you to them?
It's so interesting because I even remember when I was 7 or 8 years old, I hated going shopping. I just wanted to play. And then I think at 10 years old, I remember getting this sunflower dress. And I fell in love with that dress. I felt so pretty in it. And I had a sunflower hat to match it with a big giant sunflower on the front of it. It was in the 90s, so it was really great. And I think at that point, I just really started seeing that clothes could be a form of self-expression. And in high school, people would always tease because I was in speech and debate. And I would show up to school wearing, on days that we had tournaments, I would show up to school wearing heels and suits. And I loved it. And I think I was runner up for best dressed. And so kind of carried on. And even my senior year in high school, everybody was doing the traditional cape and pearls headshot picture. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to do something fun. And so I bought a fun outfit and hired a photographer and went and did my very first photo shoot.
And where did you shoot it? Outside, inside?
Yeah, in a park, a historic park in my hometown. And we were out by a creek and on a bridge, and it was really pretty.
And this was in the yearbook?
It was.
I made it to the yearbook. Hey.
Yeah.
So after high school, why didn't you pursue fashion and modeling?
It's interesting. I remember I was looking at what classes to take when I was in college, and I loved speech. I was very passionate about it. I was the president of my forensic team in high school, and so I thought that that's what I wanted to pursue journalism. And the only thing that my college had was fashion merchandising, and I didn't want to go into sales. And so college kids, they're kind of they don't want to start from the bottom. They think that they can just start at the top. And I was totally in that mindset. And when I saw that I would have to start in a department store and work my way up, I was like, I'm not doing that. So I kind of switched gears.
And the gears were switched to?
Public relations. And oddly enough, I worked at a retail store in college. And then I went into sales.
But you did this for how long?
The sales aspect I only did for about 3 years, and then I stepped into a corporate marketing role.
And that was a while.
And that was a while, yeah. I was with my former company for 11 years. So I was on the marketing side for about 8 years.
So what happened at the 11-year mark?
Well, it started a little before my tenure. Probably around year 6 or 7, in my head, I would start joking like, on my 10-year anniversary, I'm going to turn in my notice. And I kind of had this one-day mentality, and every year I would have the same conversation because I had the same projects every year, same events that I was leading, and I would get really stressed with it. And every year I was like, well, I'm not going to be here next year. It's not going to matter. And then next year would roll around. And that conversation lasted about 5 years. And then finally, right before my 10-year anniversary, I got clear that it was time for me to quit my job and pursue my passions.
You got clear. So what were you clear about?
I was clear that I was playing it safe.
And that's not you.
No. I'm spunky. I was the youngest child. I was always out adventurous, doing things, traveling all over the world. And not that a corporate job isn't great. I just realized that for me, playing it safe was being at the same job for the same company. And also in my personal life, never lived on my own. I always had roommates. I didn't really date. I kept to the same things. And looking back, I laugh because I'm like, my personality is so all over the place now that I've been on my own for almost 2 years, I've dabbled in so many different things, tried different directions to get clear on what it is my business and just who I am and what I'm bringing to this world is. And it all came from me trying a variety of things and realizing that I'm not someone who does just one thing. And I was doing just one thing for over a decade.
So you're dabbling in many things now. Okay, you leave the job. Do you have a plan?
No.
No. Okay.
No, of course not. Yeah, so when I left my job, I reached a point where I kind of knew that I was never going to, based on my past, I knew that I was never really going to save the money. I was never going to take the leap and look for something else. And so I knew that in order for anything to change, I had to do something drastic for me, which was quitting my job and buying a one-way ticket to Southeast Asia, and then just trusting that the universe was going to open up opportunity and inspire me.
Why Southeast Asia of all countries?
So I talked to many nomads and people who are just kind of living a remote, location-independent lifestyle. And several different people said that Asia is a great place to start because your dollar can stretch further there.
Okay.
So the cost of living is a lot less, and it's just a really cool place to be and experience. And so I thought, I'll try it. Why not?
So where in Southeast Asia did you end up?
I was in Thailand. So I lived in Thailand for 6 weeks. And then from there, I kind of in 2018, I only bought one-way tickets.
Wow.
And so I would just go somewhere, see how I liked it, meet someone. They'd say, hey, check out this place. I'd go to this place. And then if there was an event or something that drew my attention, then I'd go to another place. And kind of just hopped around like that.
I mean, the language barrier, how are you able to navigate these new countries only speaking one language?
So for the most part in Thailand, it was interesting. In the touristy areas, they spoke English. When I would get outside of that, Google Translate would come in handy, although it's not the best tool. It doesn't have the best translation or meanings because every country has its own version of slang and casual language. But what was most surprising to me was when I was in South America, it was so hard. Even in touristy areas, it was very difficult to find anybody who spoke English. And I speak very little Spanish. So